You're listening to the Ballroom Network. The following program is intended for all audiences. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Goon Podcast with your hosts, Joe Mandel, the Goon, John Santucci, the Tooch, and the man with the plan, Adam Shaw. We're bringing you the fantasy football knowledge that you need every single week.
Derrick Henry still going. He might go. 99 yards for the touchdown. Unbelievable.
Flush that again all the way back. Turning the corner. Fires downfield. Caught. Touchdown. Only Mahomes turns what might have been a 15-yard sack into a 27-yard touchdown.
Saquon Barkley across midfield, down the sideline, stayed in bounds, and Barkley takes it all the way. 68 yards for his first NFL touchdown. McCaffrey right up the middle, and he is gone for the touchdown. 58 yards. This is to Thomas. He's gone. Touchdown Saints.
Okay, it's time for the easiest part of any coach's job, the cut. Now, while I wasn't able to cut everyone I wanted to, I have cut a lot of you. Steven, I like your hustle. That's why it was so hard to cut you. Congratulations, the rest of you made the team. Except you and you.
God bless fantasy football. There are many things a man can do with his time. And this is better than those things.
Welcome, everyone, to Fantasy Football Goon. My name is Aldo Gandia, filling in for Joe Mandel, and John Santucci is off today. But don't you worry, Adam Shaw is in the house. Adam, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Aldo. How are you this morning? I'm ready to talk some fantasy football with you.
Yeah, but before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the Chicago Bears. About 30 minutes ago, they listed their inactives. Of course, we all expected Justin Fields was not going to play today. Rashawn Johnson is missing, his third or fourth game? Do you know if it's 3 or 4?
I think this is the third straight now.
No, and I just dropped him on my fantasy roster because I'm concerned that this concussion could be a serious issue that could prevent him from seeing much action the rest of the way.
Yeah, I did the same this morning. Unfortunately, I was kind of forced to that position of, there's so many guys hurt right now as well. So, IR spots are pretty full on some teams. And Roshan had to go because, 3 weeks into a concussion is pretty concerning for the long term of it.
Right. We pray for his good health. Nate Davis is not playing and probably will miss the next 3 or 4 games, 2 or 3 games at least. He has a high ankle sprain. What do you think that the removal of Nate Davis from the offensive line, we hear that Tevin Jenkins is now going to play right guard, Cody Whitehair at left guard, and Lucas Patrick at center. But what do you think Nate Davis, who's an excellent run blocker, is going to do to the Bears' rushing attack?
Well, I hope they can still keep it up today because I actually kind of like the move of Whitehair getting back over to guard. I'm not a fan of Whitehair at center. I'm not really a fan of Patrick as well, but I just want there to be some consistency there. Whitehair has to get in a spot and stay there, or else the run game's going to suffer every week until we just get consistency in the middle of the line, in my opinion. We need that center and the left guard and the right guard to be the same for more than 1 week, It feels like we haven't done that in years. It feels like it's just constantly jumbling those guys back and forth. I think Tevin Jenkins showed a big boost when he came back. So I'm hoping moving him back to the right. So he's going to play right tackle today, right?
You're right.
Yeah. So I like that a lot. I think Jenkins is kind of our prized possession right now, in my opinion, on that line. So Nate Davis, it hurts for sure having him out because he's been a great addition to the team this year. But I'm hoping getting Whitehair to the left side and moving everybody back to what I consider their original positions is going to get the run game going.
Hey, Joe checks in saying, give me about 1,000 stocks of Matthew Stafford today. I saw a stat on X from a reputable source saying that he was among the league leaders in passing yards with the ball in the air. So he's winging it and doing well. Eddie Jackson is that ankle or foot injury has flared up again, so he's back on the inactives. Terrell Smith, the young rookie who has looked good, he's not playing today. And, of course, Dan Feeney is going to not make his Bears debut just yet. I expect that'll probably happen week 17. Any thoughts on these other three players who are not playing today?
I mean, really disappointing with Eddie Jackson, obviously, because, he's just, ever since he's been paid, it's been downhill, it seems like. And then Terrell Smith, man, he's been probably the bright spot in the secondary thus far, especially for a rookie. And so, you just really want those guys to be able to stay on the field and get the experience every week. So it hurts having them out already. But, right now it's kind of about looking ahead, I think. So if they're really hurt, we need to take care of them and get the rookie healthy and ready to play for next week.
We've got we're going to talk a little bit more Bears before we get into fantasy matchups, but I want to address this question because perhaps this guy wants to make his lineup, get his lineup, and he's asking in a PPR league, DJ Moore or Jacoby Myers. Who do you think?
Man, that's a pretty tough call today. I've seen a couple people with that same issue. You're talking about the same game of backup quarterbacks basically playing. So I'm probably going to go Jacoby Myers right now, just because I'm a Bears fan. Call me skeptical, but I'm going to take Jacoby Myers because I've seen him do it almost every week. And DJ Moore has been great with Justin Fields, but we just don't know. To me, it seems like DJ Moore is going to get a lot of screens today with Bajan, but it's really a wild card with the Bears. So I'll take more of what I know with the Raiders, I think.
Yeah, from the little I know, this is actually, a very even matchup in terms of who to select. Jacoby Myers, actually leads the Raiders in touchdown catches. He has 4, and Devontae Adams has 3. And DJ Moore, I think he's going to get a lot of targets today because Tyson Bagent has told the media when DJ Moore is out there and I see him on a one-on-one, I am going to throw him the ball. Yeah. But in terms of favoring Myers, the Bears could be double teaming Devontae Adams, which is why he only has 3 touchdowns. And in the last 2 games, his production has gone down. And so Myers might be seeing a lot of one-on-one. And so in the PPR, it's close, man. I gotta tell you something. Edward, if you're a Bears fan, go with DJ Moore. If you are, if you're not rooting for either team, then I think slightly Jacoby Myers is how I would play that myself.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I like that as the way to, if it's that close, make it fun for yourself to root for your guy.
Exactly. You'd be right, rooting for 2 reasons. All right, Adam, let's start with your advice on who to start and who to sit and so forth, position by position. Why don't you take it away, brother?
Okay, well, kind of going alone solo this week, so we won't have all liking the same guys. But some of the guys I like this week, starting with the quarterback position, are going to be, I love Matthew Stafford that Joe just mentioned on there in the chat room. He's just tearing it up with yardage-wise. The killer right now for Stafford has been all the Kyron Williams rushing touchdowns in the goal line. Stafford throws it 80 yards to get down there, and then they end up running it in or something. But Cooper Kupp's been back now for 2 weeks and put up monster numbers. I think the Stafford touchdowns are coming up. So I love Stafford. The Stafford Kupp stack is money today, I think. Another guy I like is everybody likes this guy, but he's had a couple of down games. That's Justin Herbert. I think he's due for a huge game in a shootout versus Kansas City today. That Chargers-Chiefs game, I'm really looking forward to watching. Should be a lot of points. I'm interested to see. I'm sure Tooch is on the over on that, but I'm interested to see what he has to say about that one. Also, Geno Smith versus the Arizona Cardinals. Those are 2 bad defenses in that game, and I honestly think that game could score quite a few points. Even Arizona coming back against Seattle's pretty bad pass defense. They're decent against the run, but their pass defense is horrible. Same for the Cardinals. Geno should be able to light it up today. DK Metcalf is still questionable as far as I know up to kickoff. They say he was going to be decided in the workout. So that makes it a little tough, but a sleeper I like, though, if DK Metcalf especially doesn't play, would be Jackson Smith and Jigba, the rookie for Seattle. His targets have been creeping up the last 2 or 3 weeks. He's had 5 catches last week. I think today could be the breakout game for Jackson Smith and Jigba. So if he's on your waiver wire, he's a great stash right before the game start today, just in case if you got an extra spot. The last quarterback I like is Brock Purdy versus Minnesota. He's coming off his worst game of his career last week, but that was against a brutal Cleveland Browns defense that is just tortures quarterbacks on the defensive line. So they were shorthanded last week as well without McCaffrey getting hurt in the middle of the game and all that. So I think Purdy bounces back with a good game on Monday night against the Vikings. Vikings defense is not good, as we know. Should be easy pickings for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I think the 49ers coaching staff will do a lot better than the Bears coaching staff in terms of dealing with those exotic blitzes that Flores likes to throw.
Yeah, they'll be having the ball out of Purdy's hands in a heartbeat. Those guys are running in, and some guys, Ayuk's catching it and just shooting down the field, So,
Indeed.
Yeah. So, and that's where I would start with my receivers right there is with Brandon Ayuk. He's like my number one.
I'm sorry. Before you jump to the receivers, I got a question for you. I'm watching the Thursday night game, and I have both quarterbacks. I had Carr and I had Lawrence. And so I made my starting lineup on Wednesday with Lawrence being iffy. I said, you know what, I'll take Carr because I think they'll eventually both be even. And as the game is going on, late in the third quarter, both guys were like in the single digits of fantasy points, and I start panicking. I need a quarterback. I can't go the rest of the season with these two guys. And so that's when I dropped Roshan and I picked up Tyson Bagent because on a lark thinking, hey, I'm not going to drop either of the other two guys. I'm going to pick up Bagent, and maybe if he has a super game and he becomes this year's Brock Purdy, maybe I find a little gold gem. What do you think about that? That I waste a waiver acquisition, or do you think that there could be a sliver of hope for me that Bagent could be special?
I mean, there's a sliver of hope there, especially, it's not like you're, with no offense, it's not like you've got, Patrick Mahomes on your roster or anything. So you've got two guys that I agree are Trevor Lawrence has been a huge disappointment to this point as for fantasy football. He's a great quarterback for the Jaguars and for managing your team, and his future's amazing, I think. But for fantasy right now, they run the ball too much in the end zone. He's not getting passing touchdowns. I mean, he's on pace for like 18 touchdowns for the whole season. So I think it's a great play. I think if you can afford the spot on your bench, I think adding Bagent, because who knows? I mean, let's face it, we've seen the Bears throw the ball. There's fantasy points to be had. They've missed out on a lot this year. I mean, DJ Moore's dropped 50-yard passes from Justin Fields that, would have been 10 points for both of them, So there are fantasy points out there that Bagent could easily collect, even if it's in short passing game and screens and just moving the ball, And his confidence shows that he is ready to do that, he seems like. So I'm really interested to see him play today.
Yeah, Matthew Fulchisi says he did the same thing, and he added Bagent as well. And Joe Mandel is saying, just drop Carr.
Right. Yeah, like I was feeling you the other night on that, Aldo, because in our Guillotine League, I had Joe Burrow on bye, and my options were Derek Carr, Kenny Pickett, Josh Dobbs, or one of these Raiders, Brian Hoyer tonight. Maybe.
Oh my God!
And I was like, oh man, I think I'm going to play Carr, and then I decided not to. And I was like you, the third quarter, I was like, oh, thank God I didn't play Derek Carr. And then he made it up in the fourth quarter. And
he did.
In the Guillotine League, you only need like 15 points. You're just playing for second to last each week,
Right. And then Foster Moreau drops that pass in the end zone with just seconds left. He could have had a really nice night after all. But
exactly.
The first three quarters, I was dying.
Yeah, he would have been in the 20-point range if Moreau catches that ball. And so, now I'm gambling it all on Josh Dobbs today.
Oh, my goodness. Fingers crossed for you, man.
Fingers crossed on that one, yeah.
All right, why don't you get to the wide receivers, and then I got a couple of wide receiver questions coming up. But why don't you go through your wide receivers first?
Okay, well, as I was saying, feeding off of Brock Purdy, I think Brandon Ayuk is his number one target, and I don't see Minnesota being able to cover him. He is just an exceptional route runner. He's by far San Francisco's number one guy there. George Kittle's not that much of a factor in the passing game anymore. And if you figure McCaffrey could be out or limited at best, this is a huge spot for Brandon Ayuk to just destroy Minnesota tomorrow night. So he's like my number one wide receiver this week. I love him. I also love Mike Evans versus Atlanta today for Tampa Bay. I think Baker Mayfield's in a pretty good spot. Atlanta's run defense is really tough, and Tampa is not going to be able to run on them. Rachaad White never really gets it going, it doesn't seem like. So they're going to throw. Baker Mayfield has shown tendency to target Mike Evans. Almost every time he feels he needs to get the ball down the field, he's looking Mike Evans' way. We know Baker's not afraid to chunk it up there and let the 6'5" Evans go get it. So I love him to get a touchdown today and probably 8 or 9 targets at least. And the other guy I like is one you mentioned a minute ago. Unfortunately, against our Bears, Davante Adams, he's been the squeaky wheel for 2 weeks now, and the Bears are just the right recipe to lube that up, I think. So even if they do try to double him, as you said, it might open up Jacoby, but Davante Adams is so good. I honestly don't think the Bears have the guys to stop him, even if they do try to double him. So I got a feeling he could match those 3 touchdowns today, unfortunately, if we're not careful. We got to be careful with that one. So, but he's a huge start. If anybody's been worried about him the last 2 weeks, don't worry. I think he gets right today.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I gotta have you comment on this. Do you think Joe made a wise decision here, starting Hoyer over Cousins?
I do think that's a pretty wise choice. I mean, I was this close to playing Hoyer on that guillotine team. I seriously am. I mean, if you look, I saw a stat the other day. Did you know Brian Hoyer was the only Bears quarterback to throw 5 300-yard games in a row the last time he played for us?
How about that?
Oh, man, it's like Hoyer's not afraid to throw the ball around.
No,
he's got good receivers there for the Raiders, so they could easily put up some numbers there. And Kirk Cousins got a brutal matchup versus the Niners tomorrow night, and he has not looked the same without Justin Jefferson.
That's a great point. He came in relief of Garoppolo last week and was booed by the Las Vegas crowd, and then he quickly shut them up, throwing a couple of long passes. He was bombs away, as Josh Jacobs said after the game. So Hoyer is a good play today, no doubt.
I do too. I think he is.
All right, let's see. I got a question here from Notorious. Let's see what I do with it. I think it was, there it is. Wendell Robinson or Michael Wilson, full PPR.
Well, I like Wendell Robinson today. He's kind of a sleeper for me today. He's got 5 catches in back-to-back games, 5 or more catches back-to-back games, and he's been seeing around 8 targets a game for 3 or 4 weeks. And he's super fast with the ball in his hands, man. I think he's kind of filling the role that they had when they drafted Kadarius Toney 2 years ago and ended up trading him away to the Chiefs. Wandale Robinson's taken that spot back, and he catches a lot of the little screens and the short passes, but he makes 8, 9, 10 yards out of all of them. And if you're in a PPR league, full PPR, I'm for sure on Wandale Robinson.
Excellent. All right, I think you were moving on to the running backs. I've got a running back question, but why don't we get your take first, and then we'll get to Bryce's question. Okay.
Isaiah Pacheco today versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah, man, what a runner, right? He's so fun to watch.
He really
the guy
is.
just stomps the ground as he runs. It's like he looks like he's using too much energy all the time, but he still gets it done.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, come on, take it easy on yourself every once in a while. But the Chargers' run defense is not good at all. The biggest thing the Chargers have going for them is their pass rush, as Bosa and Mack. Outside of that, you can gut them up the middle. I think Pacheco's in for a huge day, and like we said, I think there's a lot of points in that game. And Pacheco's consistently becoming an RB1 in this league. I mean, he's a top 12 to 15 running back every week right now, in my opinion. So the other guy is Aaron Jones, man. He's been pretty much out since week 1 against that Bears game, which he destroyed us, and then he played like half a game 2 weeks ago before their bye, which I don't understand why they even put him in that if they were going to sit him out the week after. So he's had basically 3 weeks off. He should be healthy and good to go today against the worst run defense in the NFL. Denver gives up the most points to the running back. We've seen them give up 8 touchdowns in one game to the Dolphins running back. So Aaron Jones looks to boost the Packers today, I think. A.J. Dillon had his best game last week, but he's just sluggish this year. The Packers know they got to get it going because Jordan Love's barely completing 50% of passes right now. So they need Aaron Jones running the ball and catching those easy passes from Jordan Love and getting down the field, and that's his strength. The other thing, DeAndre Swift versus Miami. This is the game of the week for me tonight. The primetime game, the Dolphins and the Eagles, is the most exciting game, I think. DeAndre Swift has been almost the most consistent running back in the league this year since week 1. He didn't get hardly any touches week 1. Week 2, he gets like 26 carries, 175 yards, has a huge game on prime time, and he's been steadily 15 points or more every week since. I mean, we know the Eagles have the best offensive line in the league. They can run the ball at will. You get him in a good matchup versus Miami. It's just an average defense. and a lot of points are going to be scored. I think DeAndre Swift has a big game and gets in the end zone tonight.
Matthew Forchisi says Pacheco sounds like a game my grandma played. Yeah, my grandma played Parcheesi.
Parcheesi. Yeah. There you go.
All right, great breakdown of your favorite running backs. Let's answer a couple of questions. Start with Bryce. He's asking, my other two running backs are hurt. Should I start Brian Robinson or take a risk with Aaron Jones? Well, I think you answered that question just now, right?
I mean, if you're choosing between those two, Aaron Jones, but I think, I like Brian Robinson as well. I'm curious who you are playing in place of one of those. If you got two hurt, you must have some pretty good options there, Bryce.
Really?
So, yeah. So, good job on your roster there, but I think you're good with either one, but Aaron Jones would be my choice for sure because I think he's set to go off today.
Yeah, excellent. All right. And then Robert Martz asks, I need a second running back. Algier, I probably mispronounced that, or Deontay Foreman.
For today, if you're just looking for the 1 week, it's Foreman. He should definitely get the work today. It sounds like, again, with Roschon out, Khalil Herbert's out. We're looking. I think Travis Homer's back today, isn't he? Yeah.
Yes.
He should be playing, but he's a third down back really at best.
Yeah.
So, and Foreman can catch the ball as well. So Foreman can be out there on third down. He's not necessarily just a 2-down guy. Algier is a great backup player, but he's really been down the last few weeks a little bit. So Foreman's got a lot better chance to get you a touchdown or something.
Joe Mandout shares Robinson should be a great play this week as well. I agree with him, but I do agree with you that Aaron Jones is the favorite there to have more fantasy points. Changes 101 asks, pick 2, Devontae Smith. I really like Devontae Smith today against the Dolphins. Lockett, Addison, full PPR league. What do you think?
To me, it's Devontae Smith for sure, and then I'm leaning Tyler Lockett over Jordan Addison for a couple of reasons. One, DK Metcalf's going to be questionable, which could give Lockett more targets. And Jordan Addison, we talked about Kirk Cousins has struggled right now without Justin Jefferson getting all the coverage out there. So able to give that rookie a little more attention on the defensive side of the ball. And you're going against the San Francisco 49ers. So it's a bad combination there for the Vikings. It's easily Lockett and Smith for me. I think Smith bounces back with a huge game today after he's had a few slower weeks.
Excellent analysis. Dom asks, A.J. Dillon or Justice Hill today?
Ooh, that's a pretty tough one there. I think I would go A.J. Dillon because we've seen how weak the Denver defense is. Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, that's just like a toss-up every week. You just got to hope your guys on the field when they get inside the 5-yard line. It's kind of going to be the same way for the Packers, but the Packers, I think, should have a little better control of that game maybe. So I think A.J. Dillon's probably the safer choice there because they're both pretty risky, so I would take the safer choice of A.J. Dillon.
Excellent. All right, let's get to your tight ends, and more questions are piling up. We'll get to those momentarily. Robert, Matthew, CC Sharks, stand by. We'll get to your questions. Let's cover tight ends. Go ahead.
Okay, tight ends today. I like Dallas Goedert today. Tonight versus Miami. I'm loving all the players in this game for Philadelphia because let's face it, Miami we know can score points. Philadelphia's going to have to keep up, so they're going to have to pass the ball more than they like to probably, or more than they want to. So Dallas Goedert coming off a couple of big games the last couple of weeks. I think he should see a lot of targets tonight. And then Sam Laporta, man, he's just the monster rookie tight end for the Detroit Lions. 11 targets last week. He's Goff's go-to guy right now, really. Every time Goff feels the pressure, he's looking for Laporta, and Laporta is just a great player. Another one of those Iowa tight ends me and Tooch always talk about. So Laporta is a must-start every week, in my opinion, right behind Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews. And the other one I like is Darren Waller. I'm going to take my chances on Waller versus Washington. His targets have been coming up for 2 or 3 weeks now since he's gotten a little more healthy. And he's seeing 7, 8 a game, catching 5 or 6. I think Tyrod Taylor is going to start in place of Daniel Jones, a veteran quarterback that knows where to get the ball, I think, and he's going to look for Waller. He's their main receiving threat right now. So I think Waller could score tonight versus Washington. It's not a great matchup necessarily, but I think he's going to be needed, and they're going to have to get him the ball. So for fantasy-wise, if you can get 5 or 6 targets at your tight end, you're going to be happy.
Well, I'm disappointed that you didn't mention any of the 2 tight ends on my roster, so I'll ask you straight out. I got Tyler Higbee and Cole Kmet.
Yeah. So Cole Kmet, I think, is a pretty safe option. I would be comfortable playing him. And Tyler Higbee, I'm playing Tyler Higbee on that Guillotine League team. He's my substitute this week. I'm a little concerned. I'm hoping that the Kyron Williams being out, Kyron Williams does get a lot of targets out of the backfield. So I'm hoping with him being out, that's going to give maybe a few of those to Tyler Higbee this week, maybe in the red zone. If we can just get a red zone touchdown out of Tyler Higbee, we'll be happy. You know, that's all we need. If we can get 5 or 6 targets and maybe a touchdown or just 30 or 40 yards even with those targets, we'll take it. So I'm hoping that Kyron Williams being out is going to benefit. My concern with it originally is that Cup's back and Puka's out there, and those guys are getting like 40 targets a game between them, you know. So if you say they throw 50 times, well, there's like 10 targets left. Some of those were going to the run, you know. It's just the pie shrinks fast, you know. So I'm hoping Higbee gets that piece that Kyron Williams is missing this week. So I think it's a good play, but I would go Kmet out of the 2.
Okay, well, and it's interesting. Joe says I should go with Higbee. My problem with going with Higbee is that, you know, since Cooper has come back, as Adam, you were just saying, the targets, you know, they have decreased for him, and I think in the last 2 weeks, he's probably averaged 5-6 points for me. And outside of last week, Cole Kmet was playing excellently, getting a touchdown and 2 touchdowns in one game against Washington. So it's a tough choice. I'll be contemplating that one all the way to kickoff.
I feel more comfortable that Bajent's going to look at Kmet.
Yeah, you would think, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have as good of options around him as Matthew Stafford does, you know, like Bajent's probably going to have to throw to Kmet more than Stafford's going to have to throw to Higbee.
Yeah, and so many of us Bears fans are asking, please play more of that 12 scheme. So you got 2 tight ends. You keep in Mercedes Lewis to block and send Kmet and Tanyan on some pass plays. But primarily Kmet. All right, you ready for some more questions?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's see what I got here. Let's see. CC Sharks, Joshua Palmer, Rashee Rice, or Jerome Ford for the flex.
Boy, that is a tough call. Those are all great options there today.
Indeed.
I believe Kareem Hunt is going to play. They're saying that was questionable. I was about to say if Kareem Hunt does not play, Jerome Ford's for sure play. But I think Hunt is going to play, but I bet he's somewhat limited. So, man, Rashee Rice. Man, these are really good options here. Is this – and you're only picking one of them, huh? I would probably take Jerome Ford for the guaranteed touches there. They've got a great matchup there. Cleveland does. So I would take Jerome Ford, I think, for the guaranteed touches. But both those receivers are great guys to have on your bench. Rashee Rice is a great stash if he's on any waiver wires right now.
Yep. I would check the weather conditions. That might have sway you one way or another, CC Sharks, but I do would have to agree with Adam. I would lean a little bit towards Jerome Ford. So 3 great options for your flex.
Cleveland's versus the Giants, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I feel pretty good about that with Kareem Hunt banged up there.
All right, let's go to Matthew. He's got DJ Moore or Tyler Lockett. Start sit. I don't know.
I'd probably go ahead and play DJ Moore if I just got to pick one. But, man, Tyler Lockett, I mentioned, I think he's a good start today with Metcalf being questionable. But the DJ Moore thing's just so questionable with Bajent today. But you got to I think I'd take DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. I'm looking through this list that I pulled up. I think it's NBC Sports. Yeah, NBC Sports has also got in their rankings DJ Moore above Tyler Lockett. Sports Spotlight says Marquise Brown or Zay Flowers in APPR.
Man, another great problem there. These two guys. Marquise Brown has really overperformed, in my opinion, this year. The Cardinals have just been way more competitive than anybody expected.
How about it?
But Zay Flowers is a stud in the making here. He's going to be a long-time great wide receiver in the NFL. I think I'd play Zay Flowers. I think I like Zay. It's hard for me to bench Zay Flowers right now. Marquise Brown is a little too boom or bust for me. Zay Flowers is getting pretty consistent targets, and I would play Zay Flowers.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. Domo, Gus Edwards or Darrell Henderson, half PPR.
Oh man, that one is tough too. Two very murky backfields. I'm going Gus Edwards today because of everything that's happening with the Rams. I'm just trying to avoid the backfield today because it sounds like three guys are mixed in and nobody really knows who's going to get the most. So Darrell Henderson just came in 2 days ago, I think. So he knows the system, so they're putting him right on the field. But Gus Edwards has been in Baltimore for years, and he's got the experience. He can get in the end zone. I'll take Gus.
Okay. Sports Spotlight is asking, do you think that Aaron Jones will play enough for me to start him over Foreman? I think you answered that question earlier.
Yeah, I think Aaron Jones is full go.
Yeah, full go. Go with Aaron Jones. The Joker makes an appearance. Jerome Ford or Jacoby Myers, full PPR.
Ooh.
That is a tough feat.
That is a tough one. I think I'm still
all these have been tough, right?
Yeah, everybody's got some good rosters here with some good. That was crazy. My week, I've got horrible choices this week between all the bye weeks and the injuries. Like my teams are depleted right now of my options on my bench, but everybody else here seems to have, great options. But
how about it?
I think I'd play Jerome Ford there. That's a tough call, but I'll take Jerome Ford because he can catch passes as well. So he can still get you some PPR points in addition to his touches.
Yeah, it's a real close call. I don't think you can go wrong with any one of those.
Way, good.
Yeah, but Jerome Ford is probably the guy. Let's see what Super CNB Challengers is asking. With DK possibly out or limited, what do? I have him in 2 leagues, can start McLaurin over him in 1 league and London in the other. Both play at 12. Yeah, they got that early game. It makes it all his stuff. DK plays at 3, so may not know until too late. What do you advise there?
Okay, so if it's literally going to go up to the warm-ups at game time, which it sounds like it is, you can't really risk that. So I'm playing Drake London over DK almost certainly. Drake London is, outside of week 1, he has been a top 20 wide receiver in the NFL since then.
Yeah, and I'm looking at – I'm sorry, you broke up there a second. You broke up there a second. Can you repeat that last line?
Yeah, I said that since week 1, Drake London's been top 20 wide receiver in the whole league for fantasy, and he's getting more targets every week. Desmond Ridder, he's still turning the ball over, but they're throwing it more. They were throwing the ball like 20 to 25 times a game. Now they're up to the 30, 35 times a game, and it's pouring over into Drake London mostly, and a little bit into Kyle Pitts finally, but Jonnu Smith's still eating that up over the tight end. The Kyle Pitts thing's just a mystery to everybody. But
indeed.
Yeah, but I would take Drake London for sure on there. And I think because of the risk, I think I would go ahead and do McLaurin too. I just don't think you can – that's the bad thing about those late games or the Monday night games is you just can't risk it because your other options are going to be done at noon,
Yeah.
So you got to take the for sure player.
I just took a look at X and formerly Twitter, and that's the thread line on DK Metcalf that he is a true game time decision. Yeah. So he's going to test it out probably around noon, and so don't risk it, man.
Yeah, even if he plays, he could be 5 plays in and be like, oh, I don't feel it, or tweak something, and then he's out, and you're totally screwed.
Indeed. Joe's has a note here about the tight ends. The Steelers statistically are bad against the tight ends, so keep that in mind. Hoping. Yep. Nate asks, Bagent or Dobbs?
Yeah, well, Nate, I told you I'm playing Dobbs on my Guillotine League team, so Dobbs has actually been pretty decent quarterback for fantasy-wise because he's ran the ball a pretty good amount the last few weeks. But for my fantasy team, I don't want to take a first-time starter on my fantasy team today. As much as I hope Bagent does good, and I think he can do good today, I'm just not going to put a first-time starter on my fantasy team. So I'll take Dobbs.
I subscribe to that. Yeah. I do the same thing. I'm very reluctant to play a guy who doesn't have a fantasy history so that I can make a better informed decision. Yeah. Nate is asking about JT or Brian Robinson. Who's JT?
Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I would be playing Jonathan Taylor here if I have to choose between the two. But again, Brian Robinson being a questionable bench option to me is pretty questionable to me because he's one of the few workhorses the league has right now that gets almost all the carries.
Yeah.
I mean, Antonio Gibson just gets a few catches really in a game and no carries. So Brian Robinson's been very good, but JT's slowly getting his role back. I think that gets more to like 60-40 over Zach Moss today. And I mean, JT, when he gets going, he's dominant. So if he's healthy, I think you have to play Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, but again, you want to make sure that the long layoff isn't affecting. Let him, play a couple of games. I agree with you. Brian Robinson, with him touching the ball so often, is a good play there.
Yeah.
Sean Ian Reed, what's up, fellas? My weekly RB question. I need to pick 3, and so he's got a long list here: Moss, Harris, Edwards, Javonte Williams, and Stevenson from New England. Oh, baby. Pick 3. That's a toughie.
Pick 3. Well, my number 1 out of that group is Javonte Williams. I'll be playing him for sure. I think he's a sleeper today. I'm starting him on my flex on a couple of teams. They're going against the Packers. I think that's a pretty good matchup for him there. Javonte Williams has looked really good last week, I thought. They've been working that McLaughlin in, but Javonte Williams is still their guy, and he gets all the third down stuff as well. So, Javonte Williams, he's coming off that injury. They've slowly brought him back this year, but he's looks good. He's my number 1. And then I would probably go I assume we're talking about Najee Harris there. I'm not in on Najee today. Gus Edwards, we mentioned him a minute ago, but that was just over Darrell Henderson. Gus Edwards has a brutally tough matchup versus the Lions. The Lions, you cannot run the ball against the Lions.
Yeah, it's impossible.
For Gus Edwards, we're just hoping for a goal line touchdown. Because he's not going to get very many yards on the ground.
Yeah.
So that's why I like Zay Flowers as well for the Ravens, because they're going to have to throw it. I think I would take Ramondre Stevenson, even though he's been bad. I think he gets the workload there. Him and Zeke's gotten more than we expect, but Stevenson's still their passing down guy most of the time. So for me, I'm playing Javonte, Stevenson, and Moss, I think. Moss gets a lot of third down work still for Indianapolis. Even if he only gets 40% of snaps, he's still going to catch some passes.
Yep. My rule is you almost always favor the guy who is going to get the most touches.
Right.
Better chance of scoring. All right. We got probably the most interesting question I have ever seen here on Fantasy Football against Goon. It is from Jenny. She says, Adam, why are you so cute?
Oh, how about that? Oh, I don't know. Thanks, hon.
you got to answer that. You can't say I don't know. Tell her your mom or dad. You do good work.
I don't know. I guess all the years of being with her is kind of worn off on me. Yeah, she's by far my better half. So,
well, you are a very good-looking guy. I would rank you in the top 5 of the barroom people in terms of good looks. I'm down in the bottom 5, unfortunately. Joe says you are a sexy son of a gun.
Thanks, guys.
Nate says, I can bench DJ Moore and get Brian Robinson, JT, Jonathan Taylor, and Eckler in the lineup. Wow, what a dilemma you got here. I do like the idea of playing DJ Moore today, but, man, getting Robinson, JT, and Eckler in the lineup, what's going on here?
Yeah, Nate, you've got a heck of a team, buddy. Obviously, Eckler's got to be in your lineup. I think I would do that. I would play the 3 running backs there that we know are going to get the carries, and all 3 of those guys can catch the ball as well. So it's not like you're strictly like any of them are 2-down guys that you're just hoping for 12 carries. Those guys are all pretty much workhorses. So I think I would take that safer option of all 3 of them over the question mark we got with the Bears today.
There you go. JAC, Sam Laporta, or Baltimore or Dallas Goddard home to Miami. It's a 0.75 PPR. Why don't they just go a full point? I don't understand.
Yeah, I've never seen 0.75 PPR. That's the first time I've ever seen that. But
that's weird.
That's why I say Laporta's my line. He's my number 3 guy right now. I'm starting him over everybody not named Kelsey and Andrews, and I'm almost got him above Andrews, really. I mean, he's right there. So Goddard would be my 4. So I'm putting Laporta ahead of him, but just by a hair. 2 great options. Either way, you can't go wrong.
Nick has an interesting dilemma here. Russell Wilson, who came off a terrible game last week, and Deshaun Watson, who is going to make his first start in about a month, I think it is. What do you think?
Yeah, man, this is a rough one. Deshaun Watson, yeah, he's very questionable to play. If he does, who knows what could happen. I don't like that risk. Russell Wilson's got a pretty tough – Packers defense is not an easy matchup necessarily, but I think they're going to have to throw the ball quite a bit. So I would take Russell Wilson because he's healthier than Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Russell has been playing well, and it was just last week where he had a blip. Of course, there is like a cancer going on in that Denver franchise. And so you never know. Now, I got a feeling that it's going to be tougher and tougher to predict what's going on fantasy-wise with that roster because there's such internal upheaval. But I do think that Wilson is probably the better play over Watson in this game. All right, I think we've gone through our questions. Do you have more rankings for us?
I just got a couple of sleepers maybe.
Please go for it.
All right. Some of the guys, if you're looking, like I said, this is bye Mageddon this week with 6 teams on bye, and then you got so many players hurt right now. So if you're looking for that last-minute guy off the waiver wire today, you're still trying to figure this out. Quarterback, I like Jordan Love versus the Broncos. May not be a ton of, yards, and it may not look great, but we've seen him against the Bears throw 3 touchdowns with, less than 200 yards, The first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, he was just throwing easy touchdowns, racking up your fantasy points. While the realistic numbers aren't great, fantasy-wise it is. So Jordan Love's the guy I'm streaming on a team today versus that horrible Denver defense. I like that matchup. I also like Josh Downs at wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. He's been ticking up targets every week. He's a great rookie. Gardner Minshew seems to really look his way all the time. He's been a great guy you can add off the waiver wire the last couple of weeks, and he's still available at a lot of places. And the other guy I got is Jaylen Warren for Pittsburgh. I mentioned a minute ago I'm not a Najee Harris fan. Jaylen Warren is way more explosive. He catches all the passes these days where Najee used to do that. Jaylen Warren's their guy. He's eating into Najee's carries a little bit too. So they're getting closer to like a 60-40 as well. Jaylen Warren's a guy, again, I'm playing him as a streamer this week. I think you can get him in your lineup and get you 9-10 fantasy points in that running back position. And the guys I don't like right now are Najee on the other side of that. He's been benched for me. Another one is Tutu Atwell. A lot of people have been playing Tutu Atwell for the Rams. That's been steady decline for a couple of weeks since Cooper Kupp's come back. We've seen Van Jefferson get traded away. Tutu Atwell's losing targets. We're hoping for those for Tyler Higbee today. So I'm not playing Tutu right now. And then the other one is what Joe asked about, Kirk Cousins. He's a bench for me today. Going in tomorrow night. But just such a tough matchup. He hasn't been the same without Jefferson. It's a really bad spot for Minnesota tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah, gotta agree with that. Nick just posted a question. No, it wasn't Nick. Who was it? I started. So it's Travis. Travis asking where's the Mandalorian. But his question, fantasy-wise, is would you start Herbert against Kansas City or Stafford against Pittsburgh?
I'm starting Herbert. I'm always going to start Herbert. Stafford would be my backup if Herbert was on bye or something, But I'm starting Herbert versus Kansas City. Kansas City's going to score. Herbert's going to have to chunk the ball. He leads the league in passing yards. He was QB1 until their bye. He was the QB1 in fantasy until they had their bye week. So, and now that's the beauty. Herbert's done with the bye week. You can put him in that lineup for the next 12 weeks or 11 weeks, whatever we got left here, and you're set. So I'd play Herbert over Stafford, but Stafford's a great option.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. This is, I think, maybe the only time I've disagreed with you all show. I like Stafford against Pittsburgh on just this Kansas City defense, their interior pass rush. And I saw how Herbert reacted on that Monday night game. I love Herbert. I think he's going to end up being an all Hall of Famer when his career is done. But Stafford against Pittsburgh's defense, kind of like that too. I would edge towards Stafford. Yeah, but tough choice. But if you've got Herbert on your roster and Stafford, Travis, you got a hell of a team, brother. A good problem to have.
Yeah. It's tough.
Travis says Herbert is just so tough. LOL. I'm just looking for the good matchup. Yeah, indeed. Double check the weather on both of those sites, and that might help. I might have to bring our Bare Their Souls weather girl onto this show. She's a gorgeous looking, and she could give us weather reports throughout the league. Maybe I'll work on that this week.
There we go.
All right. Let's see. I got some prop bets from the Tooch, and these are just prop bets that he sent. So let's see what he's got. He's got 8 of them. He's got Mike Andrews, the over 51.5 receiving yards, and that's against Detroit. I kind of like this bet for the reasons that you were saying, that the Lions' run defense is outstanding, and maybe it's going to be Mike Andrews who's going to benefit from a receiving standpoint. What do you think?
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, I think that's a great one. He should be able to get 51 yards? Yeah, I think they're going to have to. You cannot run the ball against Detroit, and the Ravens, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, they're not good enough running backs to do it against Detroit. So Lamar is going to be throwing the ball today. Andrews is his number one look. So Andrews and Flowers all day.
Yep, I agree. And then Cade Otton, the over 20.5 receiving yards. And that's of course, the Falcons Bucks game. This looks like a good bet too. What do you think?
It's a very similar bet, I think, just with the lower number. Same deal. Atlanta Falcons defensive front is very good against the run. I think they're top 5 against the run, and Baker Mayfield's going to have to throw the ball again. Cade Otton's actually a really good tight end that is just kind of slowly – usually takes these tight ends to about their 3rd year. This is his 2nd year, I believe. But, yeah, they're going to have to throw the ball 20 yards. It's like 2 catches.
Yeah, he's got 44 catches. I just did a quick check, but I'm not sure that's for his career. That's got to be for his 2-year career.
Yeah, that's probably – Brady looked to him quite a bit last year as a rookie.
Ah, that's right. I remember now. All right, DJ Moore, the over. Tooch is taking at 54.5 yards. The over 54.5. DJ Moore, of course, that's against the Raiders at Soldier Field. What do you say to that?
I think that can happen. That's probably pretty close. I think with DJ Moore, as far as starting him, you're hoping he gets in the end zone, but the yardage there, I think we can get that 55 easy because, like you said earlier, Bajan's going to get the ball out fast and probably look to DJ Moore quickly, especially at the beginning of the game, I would expect.
Mm-hmm. That DJ Moore one is a tough one. I hope he gets 154, but again, the unknown factor, right? That's one that I wouldn't touch, to be honest with you. Devontae Adams, I might touch this one. 67.5 receiving yards against the Bears. Wouldn't you touch that one?
Oh yeah, that one take my money on that one.
Yeah, indeed. Then he's got what's this guy's first name? Puka Nacua. Puka. Okay. He's got him at 4.5, the over at 4.5 receptions against Pittsburgh, and that, again, is in L.A. Your thoughts on this one?
That's probably the best one yet, I'd say, because I think he may have had one game with less than 5 catches, and that was last week or the week before. Other than that, he's had like double-digit catches almost every week. This guy broke the record to start a career for catches, yards, everything. Obviously, Cooper Kupp's ate into that a little bit, but Puka Nacua is a must start today. He's still getting like 30% target share on that team. 5 catches. That could happen in the first half.
Indeed. All right, Tyler Lockett, 57.5 over again. And that's, of course, the Arizona at Seattle game. Your thoughts on this one?
That one's very doable, but that one's a little more of the questionable one to me just because Tyler Lockett has big boom games and then really low 30, 40-yard games. So that number's kind of right in the middle of all that to me. So that one I could see it happening, but that one would be a little more nervous for me.
Yeah, I would not touch that one. Rashee Rice, the over 38.5. I like this one. Chargers, Chiefs.
Yeah, I like that for sure. He's had 5 catches, at least 5 catches in 3 straight games, I think. And 38.5, you're looking at 8 yards a catch. That should easily happen, especially in this shootout type of game.
All right, I'm desperate to hear how you feel about this one. We've had a couple of questions about Aaron Jones. Tooch is taking the over at 76.5 rushing yards. Oh, no, that's 76 total rush and receiving yards. You got to take that one, right?
Yeah, that's money in the bank to me. I mean, if that
Oh,
doesn't hit, I
yeah.
would be shocked. Because, yeah, 76.5 combined. I would have probably taken that on the rush. Combined, yeah, man, that seems like money in the bank, easy.
Yeah, so of all these bets, I would not in any particular order, but I would take Nakua, Jones, Rice, and the two tight ends on page one, Andrews and Otten. What do you think? Oh, and
Yeah.
Adams. You got to take Adams. 67.5.
Yeah, I love the Nakua. I love Aaron Jones, Adams, and yeah, the Rasheed Rice is money. I love those.
Good
The
stuff.
Lockett one's really the only one that really Lockett and DJ Moore are the two that are the most questionable for me.
Yeah, don't. Can you parlay prop bets?
I believe you can, yeah.
Okay, because I know on one of the services that I had I couldn't, and so I wondered if I could do it on another service. But
I can't do any of it here in Oklahoma. I can't gamble, so
that's right. I forgot about that.
I can do anything else, but for some reason we can't sports gamble yet. It's like been on the docket there like year after year, and for some reason it keeps getting delayed.
Well, let's hope that changes because oh, look at this. Joe says, yes, you can parlay prop bets. So just real quickly here, what I would do is parlay where's my little graphic here?
Rice.
I would parlay let's see. Get rid of Joe. I would parlay Nakua, Rice, Jones, the two tight ends, and make a bet, and maybe Adams, make a big bet, for that parlay. And you probably won't need milk money for the rest of your life if you hit that. And I would not bet on the Rice and DJ Moore game.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And maybe take a couple of those individual. But that's great work by Tooch identifying those. All right. Anything left on our show for us to do before we get ready for Bears football?
Man, I think we've about covered it all. The only thing I might mention defenses today. If you're picking up a defense, the number one defenses this week are the Cleveland Browns, Buffalo Bills, and I would say probably the Washington Commanders. I like as well. Their defensive line gets a lot of sacks and stuff, so that's always good for your fantasy team. Other than that, no, I'm really anxious to see how the Bears do today, and even more excited for that game tonight with the Eagles and the Dolphins. I mean, that's just all the fantasy fun in that game tonight, and, I'm interested to see that.
Well, before we get out of here, Aladdin just joined us and has got a couple of questions, actually. Start one, Hunt, Henderson, McKinnon, Mitchell. Start one of those four. Not an easy one there.
Oh, man, that's tough. I'm going to go with my guy on this one. I'm a Jerick McKinnon guy. I think, in that game tonight, he's the pass catcher for Kansas City. So in what could be a shootout game, I like McKinnon to get on the field a little more than he has. I would go Jerick McKinnon. I'm assuming that's Elijah Mitchell. The 49ers thing's really questionable. The Rams, we know, is questionable, and Kareem Hunt is questionable himself today. So McKinnon's the safest option out of that.
Indeed. And then he's got a variation on that. Start one, Z Moss, Jay Wilson, and Henderson.
I go Moss there for the sure thing. Jeff Wilson's today's his first game back, assuming he is going to go. We kind of have to see how that goes. I don't like starting guys that haven't played all season in their first game back. So I would take Zach Moss for his passing down role.
Cool. Zach says a double move, deep shot to DJ Moore today. It's going to happen. You can bet on that one. Evie says that the Bears are going to win 24-17. Zach says Bears are going to win 31-16. Joe says that he picked up the Rams defense. That's a good pick there, Joe.
Yeah.
I need to double check my defense for today. I've got another prediction, or I got another question for you.
Okay.
Do you think that we will see Justin Fields, and everyone in the chat jump in on this, that we will see Justin Fields on the sideline today?
On the sideline? Yes. I do think we will. I think so.
Okay. I hope so.
Yeah, I sure hope so. I do not want to even entertain the idea that we won't. So I sure hope so. And I mean, I heard this morning that they say it's only 2 to 3 weeks and no surgeries required, and that it's better than they expected. And so, yeah, I'm hoping he's out there supporting Bajent. And, you know, they said he's getting a little bit of strength back to grip it this morning. So I'm hoping within 2 more weeks we can get him back on the field.
That would be great. I want Bajent to play like a Hall of Famer, and then when Justin comes back to play like a Hall of Famer, and we could have a great problem in Chicago,
Right.
And some great resources to bolster this team. Nick says, definitely count on Justin Fields being there. Evie says Justin will be back on the Thursday night football primetime game. Wouldn't that be cool? So anyway, that's it for our show today. Adam, you were wonderful, absolutely wonderful, and you're a hell of a good-looking guy too. To my wife, watching in from Las Vegas. Actually, she's probably still sleeping, but she comes home tomorrow, so I can give her a great big hug.
Nice.
I will say hello to you, darling. And wait a minute. One last one. We got to do it.
Right, what we got?
Devontae Smith or Flowers?
Man, I love them both, but I'm playing everybody I can in the game tonight. So Devontae Smith's in my lineup. Devontae Smith's certified stud, man.
I love it. All right, for Adam Sean, for Joe Mando, for Johnny Santucci, my name is Aldo Gandhi. We will see you at halftime at the Bears Raiders game. It'll be Danny Shimon, Coach T, and I'll be filling in for John Buffone, who is at the game today. So hopefully join us at halftime and immediately after the game for instant analysis. For everyone here at the Barroom, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.